Rangers and Rockies tied at 1 as the Rangers come to bat here in the bottom of the 4th. And joining us now, the president of Rangers baseball operations, Jon Daniels. Jon, thanks very much for coming to join us. It's been a tough day for you, the organization. The announcement by Prince Fielder that he was going to have to call it a career.
Yeah, I think very emotional day. See him up there with his 2 boys, and that was just pure emotion. I mean, it's funny, beforehand, he's in Banny's office getting ready to go in, and he said, you know, I'm going to cry in the car on the way home, but I don't think I'm going to cry up there. And I think first word came out, and he looked to his left and saw his kids and his teammates, and you know, realized just the reality of the situation, the depth of the situation, and
you know, you could feel it in the room before he ever got there. That if he could get through that without being emotional, it would have been remarkable.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
Well, you know, and fortunately, I guess for all of us, you only have to do that one time in your life, and that's the one that really, if you don't leave it all out there, you're going to get down the road and say, "Gee, I should have said this or done that."
Yeah, no doubt.
And he didn't leave anything in the bag.
No, you know, I don't think that everyone realized, including us. I mean, we didn't know that he was having symptoms for as long as he was, just because he was determined to play through it. I mean, that was, you know, for so long he was the, you know, had the record or the kind of recent record as far as the longest run without missing a game. I think he took a lot of pride in that, being a teammate, being out there for the guys. But he was hurting, and you know, it's a shame. He obviously had a very good year for us last year, but it's a shame, you know, our fans really never got to see the fully healthy, you know, impact, dynamic power hitter that he was for, you know, better part of a decade. You know, really elite player.
I know you guys do your homework, but when you acquired Prince, did you have a feel for what kind of a teammate he was going to be and how he would be in the clubhouse?
We did our homework. You know, I know at the time Mike Maddox was here, and Mike had been with him in Milwaukee, and Mike spoke highly of him from a teammate standpoint. And we talked to a bunch of other guys as well. Talked to some guys that were with him in Detroit, and yeah, we did have a kind of a sense of that. The guys, listen, obviously he's never going to win a track meet, but one of the things that a number of people said was he runs hard every time down the line, you know, and especially for a bigger guy to do that, you know, it really sets an example.
Yeah, and you know that I can remember back the first couple of games that Tom and I did when he joined the ball club. That was what stuck out the most, was that, hey, this guy, I mean, really busts it. He doesn't hold anything back.
No, he did, and he was kind of the 2 things that stood out for me from a clubhouse dynamic. And obviously, I'm not down there every day, but one, you know, he was, along with Belcher, he was the loud guy in the dugout, kind of chirping, cheering guys on, loud in the clubhouse. He literally grew up in a clubhouse, so he was very comfortable there, and he kept things loose, managed the highs and the lows. The other one was, you know, a couple times we've had bench clearing deals, with one with Houston, one with Toronto. And you look up and Prince is in the middle of it, not throwing punches, not causing, but protecting his guys, and kind of like, you remember here with Toronto, he and Desmond were the 2 kind of peeling guys apart. And you go in Houston, he was the one that jumped in front of Odor when, you know, when I think it was Congress that signed to him, and he's kind of like the big brother enforcer in some ways, you know, protector of the guys, and definitely a unique role.
Yeah, I can, from that standpoint too. Good job hitting there by Chu. From that standpoint too, I remember that game in Oakland when Keone Kela had just come up, and he was struggling at one time, and Prince had made it a point to go over and introduce himself to Keone and kind of take him under his wing and show him the ropes a little bit. And he went in during the ballgame and talked to Kela on the mound and got him straightened around mentally.
He did. He walked him through it. You're absolutely. I remember that well. He kind of put his arm around him, and I think he had either 2 on or bases loaded or something like that. He ended up getting out of it, and the whole infield kind of walked off with him. Prince had his arm around him. And at the beginning of last year, you know, we had 2 rookies on the team, and that made the team out of spring training. It was Kela and DeShields, and you know, really, Prince was the guy that took those guys very quietly, took those guys under his wing the first month or so, and made sure they got their feet on the ground here in DFW and were comfortable. So, you know, a lot of different roles he played on the team that most people don't get to see.
I realize that he may not have thought much farther than today, but is he the kind of guy, do you anticipate he would stay in baseball, that there might be a role for him?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. We haven't had that conversation with him at this point. I mean, I think, depending on what he wants to do, I think could do a lot of different things. I mean, my initial thought was, just a hitting coach, a batting coach, just with his skills, and you're seeing more and more of the kind of the great sluggers go into that, whether it's McGuire and Bonds and Edgar Martinez, and I think of Prince along those lines. So I don't know if he has interest in that. Right now he's got the that neck brace that everybody saw today that he's got to wear, I think, for another 4 weeks, and so he's he can't be in the dugout during that time just for fear of a straight foul ball, and he kind of jerks his head the wrong way. So once he's cleared for, I think it's about 4 weeks from now, I think he'll be around the club a little bit more through the rest of the year. Yeah,
hopefully we'll be able to see him when he comes back out, and I'd love to have him sit up here and talk to us for a little while about things. He's such a personable guy when you get him one-on-one or get him comfortable in the deal. Have you changing subject? Have you caught your breath yet since the deadline, all the deadline activity, the flurry of activity?
I did. It was a well-timed road trip that I did not go on, and I reintroduced myself to my family, and we had a long weekend, hung out, Robin and the kids. So yeah, it was good, and they got to watch us win a few games on the road.
There you go.
That was really nice.
How do you feel about what you were able to accomplish, what you added to the ball club?
Well, we feel good about it. I mean, listen, no secret. Ideally, we were looking to add a starter. That deal just wasn't really out there. We tried. We were looking at a bunch of different things, even late in the day on Monday before the deadline. But we looked up probably a week or two before that, and I think the reality struck that there weren't going to be many impact-type starters moved, and it was going to be real competitive for them, and we need to find some other ways to improve the club. And Lucroy, I love Robbie Chirinos, but Lucroy is kind of a rare bird in the game, two-way player, and just a really great fit for us.
Well, Desmond's going to get the Rangers on top with that sac fly. Throws coming into third, and Chu makes it in to score Elvis Andrus. The Rangers have a 2-1 lead as Desmond gets his second RBI of the night.
John, for the people that don't have a feel for it, what was a typical day like leading up to the trade deadline? How many people were in the room? How many hours you were there? And
we had a little bit bigger room than normal this year, and it was good. I think it was a real comfortable group. We probably had anywhere, depending upon the day, we had between 8 and 15 people in the room. We kind of squeezed into my office, had the whiteboard up there, a little table, guys sat around, and it was the first 4 or 5 days were kind of slow. The last 2-3 days sped up pretty good.
Did you have more than one person on a phone at the same time?
Thad and I have kind of tried to divide and conquer mentality, and so we've split up the clubs to manage the relationships, and so sometimes we'd both be on the phone. Usually if both of us were talking, one of us would step out. Sometimes I'd step out regardless to clear my head with everybody in the room. But it was a productive room, and a lot of people contributed.
Great.
John, appreciate you taking the time. I know it's been a busy day for you. Thanks very much, and appreciate you letting us in on Prince and trade deadlines.
Absolutely. Always enjoy coming up here. Thank you, guys.
Jon Daniels, the Rangers take the lead on Desmond's sacrifice fly. After 4, Rangers 2, Rockies 1.